Welcome to Women at Halftime podcast, but not just for women, for you men too. If you're at mid-career or the halftime of life, our inspirational topics are not only fun, but also meant to help you maximize and write your next chapter. Right here with me, Deborah Johnson. Well, hello, everyone. So excited to be here today because I have a wonderful, wonderful guest. I've known Rochelle for quite a while, and we are connected with our NSA, National Speakers Association. She's an amazing person. Not only an amazing person, but she has a background in fitness and dance and all the things that I can't do. And I'm just really excited to hear more of her story and to share that because she's gone through a lot of changes in her life. And that's exactly what we talk about in this podcast. Mid-career, halftime of life, how are you maneuvering some of those changes? And I always encourage people, do not quit. This time of life is the best ever. And to be able to push on, of course, I have a great online program called Hero Mountain Summit, heromountainsummit.com. I've got books and all of that, and I hope you check those out. And as well as our newsletter, I will be writing an article about this one as well. So you'll hear some of the principles, I expand on them, and you'll get that with goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. And Rochelle, welcome. I'm so excited. You are in red, beautiful color for you, and just a beautiful personality. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm super excited to share with you today all these transformations, transitions, everything. This is the best time of life. I have to agree with you.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. You want to be able to, and I usually talk to people about this, expand on what you're doing in some way. And it doesn't have to be totally different, but figure out what you just love about it. So anyway, I'd love you to share some of your story because, again, you can do all the things that I can't. You can touch your toes. You can be very flexible. All of that. But you have a huge dance background. So why don't you share a little bit of that? And just how that you've come into this place of embodied leadership. So, and you've got the word body in there, of course, which stands out to me. So just talk about this and the mindsets that you had to go through.
Yeah, well, thank you. I grew up in mom's dancing school. I mean, that's truly how it started. And all the way through high school, into college as a dance major. And then my dreams came true. I danced in the San Francisco Jazz Dance Company in San Francisco, and then moved to New York City again, dream come true, working with a jazz dance company in New York. So it was all absolutely perfect in my world. And what happened for me was it was all that I knew, right? This is what I know. So to me, the transition started to come when the dance career was ending, meaning that the company was relocating, and I did not want to relocate out of New York. So to move into the fitness at the time was an easy transition for me. Right? It was very body-centered. It was back in the days when 3-pound weights were big weights for women to lift, right? So I was coming in right at the very beginning of the fitness industry, where we had very small studios. It was small classes, very, very boutique-y like. What was interesting to me is I never thought there was always, I knew I could do something. And I think that comes from the dance training or trust in oneself. It never occurred to me, wow, I should understand, what am I doing in business? How do I do this? But it just went. And I think that comes a lot from the dance training. From the fitness industry for 30 years, specializing in plus size, which was understanding the plus size woman, how can she move effectively in her full body without having to lose weight? Because I deeply believe that all women deserve a movement program that works for her body and should not be shamed or blamed, any weight stigma around movement. So this was a real passion of mine, and I loved it so deeply. Here I come now into my third career, I call it, or my third act of life, which is the speaking industry. Now, I was already speaking as an advocate in the plus size world to the fitness world, right? I was specifically speaking to them about the plus size body. But now, to me, it's taking all the dance and all the fitness and all the weight awareness and really putting it into this embodied leadership. Basically, the role of the body in effective leadership, or how to stay effective in the middle of chaos.
Wow. Well, that's a mouthful. So, and I love that you mentioned dreams come true, because I've worked with the Disney Corporation for so many years, and I'm just coming off a lot of engagements with them. But it's, you go into these fields. Music was like that for me. So you go into these fields, and there's the path. And all of a sudden, okay, what am I going to do now? And so what sort of mindset, as you were making those changes, because I know there was some mindset stuff going on, because all of a sudden you're going, what really can I do? I've been, this has been my box. This is where I've been fitting in. I don't have to do a lot of work to be in this field. Now, all of a sudden, what do I do? So what sort of personal mindsets did you have to approach at that point?
I believe I was fortunate enough to grow up with this mindset of you can do anything. Like it just never occurred to me any of the different. That does come from my parents. I will credit them with that. But the other was I always knew I had a strong set of skills to draw from as a dancer. Right? So my mindset always was, what are the skill sets that I have that can be transferable? And I know it sounds so cliche, but what are those mindsets? I mean, what are those skill sets that are transferable? That really boosted my mindset, meaning I'm not starting from scratch here, right? At this point in my life, and for those who are those of your listeners, you have built up such a skill set. And some of the things that I feel that we stand on today, right now especially, is the wisdom that we can stand on. And this is what, to me, the mindset is for me. It doesn't mean that I know everything. It doesn't mean that I'm the best. It means that I have accumulated a lot of life lessons and experience and skills that I can stand and transition and move how I want to do it now, as opposed to just following a career path. Now I can take a pause, sort of take inventory of everything and say, this is the direction and this is where I believe I can make an impact.
It's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. We discount all of the experience. We discount the perseverance. I remember the first time somebody told me I was tenacious. I had to go and look up the word because I thought it was a bad word. So, but I tell you, that is a definite advantage. And being able to persevere through things, knowing that, there's going to be an outcome to this. You're not totally stuck. That's that experience, that wisdom, the ability to look at the big picture. That's very, very valuable for anybody at this stage of life when you are feeling like, you're stuck in that roundabout, as I call it. Is you're just, you're spinning around. That's a wonderful thing, word of advice of that. So now you talk about falling in love with their anatomy, and you talked about that with plus sizes a little bit before. So this is a big one for women, especially when we hit these years. The body changes, and I deal with a husband too, who's a former professional athlete. The body changes. You can't do everything they used to do. And also for women, weight's coming on these different areas. That happens with men as well. So what is this falling in love with your anatomy? How do you help with that sort of mindset?
Well, one of the most powerful things in transition is to really listen to the wisdom of your body. So while I was doing all of the, as I said, building on the skill sets and all, it was listening also to the wisdom of my body, the direction of my heart. And this again comes into our strength at this point in our lives. Now, our bodies are meant to change, right? A woman's body goes through puberty, then it's, having children perhaps, and then it's postmenopausal. So we're meant to change. However, the deepening of the wisdom of our body, right? Listening to what's happening in our body, that's where the strength and power is. So what I mean about falling in love with your anatomy is this is an incredible, incredible organ body that we live in, with over 600 muscles, over 200 bones, internal organs that are talking to us all the time. And what tends to happen is when there's something wrong with us, we look outside of us to understand what is going on, as opposed to listening to what is your body telling you. Now, let me give you something super simple. Most of the time when people get anxious or whatever, they know exactly where it is, right? They have either digestive issues or headaches or whatever. So they take something to fix that. As opposed to, here it is, this is how it's playing out in my body. It affects my digestive system. What do I need to do? or the ache that always comes in the shoulder, right? From carrying too many things. There's something talking to you. If you blow by that ache in the shoulder, it could turn into something much more severe. So what I ask people to do, or really invite people to do, is truly understand what is happening in your body. Listening to that wisdom, meaning understand your anatomy. What is your circulation system like? For your lungs, for example, when you lay it all out, is the size of a tennis court. I mean, that's incredible to me. There's so many fun facts about the body. This instrument, sometimes I think people know more about their phones and their apps than they do about their own bodies.
That's a wonderful, wonderful place. I mean, you talk about move the body and move the mind, and how, and knowing all of that is wonderful too. And as a singer for many years, with the breath support, and the breath support is one of the first things that really go for a singer later. It's why I always say, some of the singers have a vibrato that you can drive a truck through, because that's breath support. Yeah. You've got to keep that breath support. And when you talked about the lungs, what a great visual that is. And just what we've been gifted with our body, and to really mindset there, move the body, move the mind. Is there something more you want to comment on that? But that was a great illustration of what you just said. So
well, I think to your point too about the singing part, like let's take the diaphragm for a moment, right? It's this horizontal muscle that is underneath the lungs, but most of the time it's underused, unless you're a singer like you do. Right? but when we inhale, that diaphragm pulls the air down into the lungs, which means the abdomen is going to rise, right? It means it's trying to make space for the internal organs. As we exhale, the diaphragm pushes the air up and out, which means the abdominal wall draws in. And what I see often is people have this so mixed up because we've been taught to suck it in and we pull our abs in, as opposed to let the expansion happen on the inhale, and on the exhale, letting the abdominal wall soften. Now, I say this because if people can understand the diaphragm, get a visual, understand how it works in the body, perhaps you can best see this with watching someone else sleeping, a babe, a child, a pet, a grandchild. You'll see that inhale, the rise of the abdominal, and on the exhale, the fall. Sometimes as adults, we are out of sync even with our own breath. So yes, people are studying more meditation and breath work, but really understanding the anatomy and the muscle, that diaphragmatic muscle that's involved, is incredibly, that goes back to the falling in love with your anatomy. Understand how your diaphragm works for you and how to bring yourself into a more balanced state with your breath.
Great. I mean, that's very well said. And I've worked with, because I've taught for years, I've worked also with people in dance. That dance breath is a little bit different than a singing breath, but it is all expansion. Just your dances, you have, it seems a longer little cavity in there. But, to be able to expand, and watching a baby is a great way. Also, just laying on your back and just letting that belly just sort of expand, and you can feel the expansion. You're not going to raise the shoulders when you're just laying on that back. So very, very good point. And it's so relaxing. It's a stress reliever, all of those things. The breath is a big, important part of that. And you also talk about CNS. Can you explain what this is? It's dealing with this overwhelm and anxiety, which is so prevalent right now.
The CNS is actually the central nervous system.
Okay.
And I love this piece so much because, again, we have a lot of anxiety, stress, overwhelm. These things really play a part on what's happening with your central nervous system. So, for example, the person who's completely overwhelmed may shut down, and that goes to the possum. When the possum plays dead, it curls into this ball, heart rate goes down, breathing goes down, right? And until the danger, right, goes by. The possum is able to shake itself off and get back in a regulated state, which means everything in the body is working, central nervous system is calm, everything. What's happening, what we're seeing sometimes with people right now is stress and overwhelm will shut them down, and they may not be able to truly shake it off. And that's why the movement to me is so important. And generally, I'll start from the outer extremities, right? So ankle circles or wrist circles to start. And this is, again, about the move the body, move the mind, right? But you want to start as far away from the center because this is where all the emotions are. So just having them move out. Now, the other is someone who's overactivated or just really stressed out, which means that the central nervous system is hyperactive. Movement can also help bring them down into a regulated state. Now, my favorite thing to teach is this range, what I call range of resilience, right? That means that our nervous system is meant to have a little bit of a peak and then recover, peak and recover. There's good stress too, right? But it's meant that we are in a recovery, that we go through these phases. However, in a stressful situation, it could go up and up and up outside of that range of resilience, which means you're working up here all the time. Or you could be someone who's really down in that frozen state down below, right? So movement, the proper movement, the correct movement will help bring it back, bring that person back into a regular state, regulated state with the central nervous system where there's an easy rise, easy fall. People who have a very small range of resilience will find themselves outside of that often, and it's very difficult, challenging, etc., to really understand. But my work is really about helping people understand how to regulate their central nervous system so it keeps them out of the highs and the lows in a much better place.
Again, very, very well said. As we are recording this a little bit early from when I'm going to actually release it, but the podcast, actually present one that I have coming out, is on resilience and endurance, perseverance, and how important that is. And that's a quality physically that we will feel in fighting stress and, all the anxiety. And the breath, again, as you said, is such an important part. And then you're talking about the movements from the outside, extremities of the body, from the hands, from the feet, and curling the toes, and just all of that, just feeling really the gift of the body that we've been given to. So that we've been given, that wasn't good English, but body that we've been given. Been doing too much writing lately. So, well, let's talk about, you have a couple other phrases I wanted to, just to kind of bring out, because you are a speaker, you're I don't know how much you've been writing lately, but you have a lot of your messages that go out. And this is one: give your body a chance to win. You hit on that again quite a bit in our resilience and all of that, but also in becoming bilingual. So what do you mean by that in our work? Because there's been so much, talk about this too with we have different cultures in our land, but what are you talking about in your business?
Mm-hmm. Well, what I mostly see is that we're living in our heads. We're operating in our heads. We have so much going on, so much distraction, so much noise, right, that we completely forget we have our whole body that's giving us information all the time, the wisdom of the body. So often I see people just thinking it all through here, right through here, just in my head, in my head, in my head. I'm losing weight from here. I'm trying to get to a new career from here. Everything is coming from the neck up, right? And this whole beautiful body is left behind. So when I talk about give your body a chance to win, it truly is about listening to the wisdom of your body. Let's say that you decide, I think this is the direction I'm going to go, but you find you have sleepless nights, or as I mentioned, intestinal issues, or there's an ache in your back. Take the time to understand maybe that's not the direction you're meant to go in. You have maybe no evidence other than what your body is telling you, but you know. So listening to the wisdom of the body. That experience to me is about giving your body a chance to win, because the head is constantly screaming and talking to us all the time. Giving your body a chance to win is really listening to those signals from your body and adjusting accordingly. Now, this to me is a strength that we have at this time in our lives. Absolutely, hands down. This is an incredible strength. It's almost like you have your super cape on and you can do this because you have life experience and wisdom, as long as you listen to those signals from your body. Now, maybe it's something where you're on the right path and your heart is just like, oh, this is it. Yes, that is it. Go with it. Again, maybe it's a job that may not have the money that you wanted, or may not have maybe even the hours that you wanted, but your heart is full. There is no greater gift than listening to that wisdom and following that path. So trust yourself, give your body a chance to win by listening to the wisdom of your body.
Great word of advice. In fact, I told my husband this morning, I really felt like listening to my body when I did not want to get up this morning. You know, I am an early riser. I usually just kind of pop up, but I was tired, and the bed was very, very warm. So but I got up. But yeah, but that was, go ahead.
Yes. Can I speak to that for just a moment? So yes, I'm sure you were tired because you had X, Y, and Z before today, right? You've been doing a lot of work.
A lot of work.
There are times, and let me be very honest and honest about this. There are times when you may hear your body, but you will have to do something different, right? So let's just say you had to get up today, even though your body was tired. What I usually then say to my body is, listen, this is something I put in place. There's two things I can do. One is to give myself more time the next time that I have a 4-day job that I need this recovery time. Or I say to myself, okay, I will have to get up today, but tonight I'll be in bed by 8 p.m., something like that. So there might have to be a little bit of negotiating around what your body's telling you, but you want to try to rectify the situation as soon as possible by either knowing the next time it comes up, you give yourself the recovery time, or you really make a point to, in your case, let's say, get into bed earlier tonight so the body has a chance to recover. So I can't say it every single time you can do this. It's kind of stay curious and figure out how it all goes.
Yep, I used the second one this morning, so I know I can get in bed earlier tonight. I just have a full day, so I needed to get myself up and out. So yeah, but there's times there's just times like this, and it's the self-talk. Mm-hmm. It's exactly learning to talk and learning to how to approach these things, because they will come up again. It's not just a one-time thing.
Exactly. That gets into that bilingual. So the bilingual meaning the body has its own language. The mind tends to be talking much louder, right? But if you can really stay connected to what your body is saying, let the body speak, the mind can translate, and then you're working together. I mean, people always talk about body, mind, body, mind. Great. But are we listening? And then I'll ask people almost to put down their own vocabulary. This is what happens when this is the feeling I have with this. So they have these sensations that they're familiar with. It's their vocabulary, it's their language that now starts to guide them with their body individually, right? What you feel is not even what I'm going to feel, right? My heart sensation is going to be different than your heart sensation, but you know what it feels like. So I love helping people really pull together what is the language that their body, what are the things that really light them up, and what are the things where they know that they're in trouble, either stress is going to come on or there's danger meaning I'm going to be out of balance. So having that broad vocabulary of what the body is saying is an incredible tool. Again, you may not have any tangible proof about what's going on, but it's an incredible tool to help you listen and become bilingual.
Really these great little terms that I think will really help people if they are listening. Hopefully they will listen all the way through, because we have some more good nuggets. But that's great to be able to understand your self-talk and how to approach yourself. And you also have some points of how to approach as a manager. And how do we apply this now to business situations or management situations? Many of us entrepreneurs, we do have assistants, and we have people that we work with. And how can we then apply that in our little worlds, no matter what we do, whether we are a solopreneur, entrepreneur, or whether we are, a manager, a leader, a CEO? How does this apply? And you say, stop talking.
I think this is my most favorite. In fact, it just came up again last week when I was working with an organization where they were working with either difficult people, someone difficult on the team, or the elephant in the room, so to speak. And what was interesting is the manager or the supervisor or the CEO is trying to talk and help make sure that person understands, you know what you have to do. And I said, what if you just turned it and stopped talking? And the whole room was kind of like, what? And what I said was, if let's say the person is having a challenge, and ask them, how do you believe we can fix this situation? And what I said was, and then stop talking and watch what happens to the person in front of you, the employee, the team member, however you want to call that person. Watch what happens physically. Is the breathing erratic? Is there a flush in their face because they realize they've just been called out on something that they missed? Are they talking super fast because they realize again that they've been called out? Are they fidgeting in their chair? When you stop talking, you're not only doing active listening, which is I understand that's really important, but you're also able to take an assessment of physically what is happening with the person, right? If they can sit there calm, centered, easygoing, speak evenly, then you're going to have a great conversation. But the minute that person starts squirming, flushed, whatever, you're getting a whole other picture of what's going on. And it's powerful. It's just information, nothing to be used against that person or anything, just information for you that if you kept doing the talking, you might miss all these subtle body cues. At the same time, we talk a lot about this when it comes to emotional intelligence, you're also able to track your own. And this is another opportunity. This is, again, that kind of check and recheck. Is this mine? Is this theirs? How do my body feel and what's happening in their body as well?
Great point. Active listening. This is important in teams. It's important in relationships. It's important in families. All of this is just to be able to listen, understand what your body is doing, and also what other people are doing, whether they are calm and collected or whether they're just facing stress. Sometimes people, they just spout off because they're facing stress. They don't know how to handle it. And so understanding those things. And I've had, I'm pretty low on the quality of empathy in my life because I think I've had 3 sons and it's like, well, just get over it. That's usually my comment. But I have developed more. My husband's a lot higher on the empathy level. He always told me, can you have some sort of grace here? But it's very, very helpful to stop and say, what are they really feeling? And I found myself doing that even in the last days of just really understanding that there are people that are just really going through these painful times. Mm-hmm. And it's helpful. It's helpful as a coach, as a speaker, as an entertainer. It doesn't matter what. It's just helpful to have that understanding, and as a leader in organizations. So, well, what sort of action steps can our audience do and our listeners do just right now to incorporate some of these principles? You've told us a lot of these principles, especially breathing. I love that one. But how can they what is like 1 or 2 things they could do just after they listen to this message?
So the first and foremost, I want to encourage all of your listeners is to be curious and confident. Right? This is a topic that, to me, is what we're going to look at is bridging that gap in the next year or 2. All right, we've come through this pandemic where the whole world changed. We are still continuing to go under massive world changes. So by being curious yet confident, right? Continue to understand what we're talking about here in the language of your body. Understand that if your body feels sick, that is the day to take off. That's a very simple way to start. And by being curious, meaning each time your body's talking, just try to catch the little ones and start checking them off like, oh, I got that right. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got that right. Good. The confidence comes from, as I mentioned, is your life experience. Right? I feel we have an obligation right now to stand on the wisdom of life experience. Again, not from a know-it-all place, but really confident, like that we've done a lot of self-development, continue to do the self-development, right? And be the knowledgeable. People are yearning for leaders who speak the truth, right? So by being curious and confident, that's just the whole way of you being in the workforce, and makes you whatever transition or transformation that you're in right now, makes you an ideal candidate for whatever role or job transition, transformation that you would like to go through. Listen to the wisdom of your body, stay curious and confident.
Really great advice. And it is such a mindset to really own our experience, own the backgrounds that we've had, and not to discount them. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain amount that a lot of people feel like they're just not enough. And it doesn't matter what field you're in. You could be the most beautiful model. You could be the best dancer. You can be an amazing entertainer. You can be, a best-selling author. You can be, on huge stages, and you still might walk out and thinking, am I enough? Are they going to believe me? Are they going to think I'm just a lie up here? Relying on that experience and the confidence, the assured confidence of that you are enough. And it's very important. It's a mindset on many stages that I've had to put on myself before I walk out on that stage. Mm-hmm. And it is an attitude of just, I can do this. I know it. I have everything to do this. And even with the experience I've had to do the same exact sort of things in my life. And I know you have as well. Mm-hmm. in your field. What a great word of advice. And just to encourage people to really take some time to journal. I'm big on journaling. Take it and only just a couple lines. You don't have to write pages. People go, oh, I just can't do it. No, write a couple lines. Right. Just get those thoughts out, get them out, reread them and go, wow, I can do this. And writing is rewriting, just going through and doing that. So, well, Rochelle, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's so much fun to see your just smiling face. And we are across the country from each other. I just love that we can do this. But it all works. And is there anything else you want to leave our audience with? You're just delightful. Hopefully people click in on the video as well as the audio, because you're beautiful and just look like a dancer. You just do. You just have that sort of a posture. It's the posture. It's the posture. Yeah, yes. It's the posture. Yes. So what else can you say?
Sure. I would say, people say, oh my gosh, I'm older. Yes, you are. Be it. The best thing that you can do is, as you mentioned, is your posture. Work on, if there's one thing that you want to work on, and I say, keep your head on straight, because our head tends to go forward all the time. Keep your head on straight and stand tall with your posture. You are older. We are older. Life changes, but coming back in and being curious and confident is really what's going to carry you forward with that mindset of, I have a lot to share. I can listen as well, but the wisdom of my body will guide me.
Wonderful, wonderful words of advice. And I'm going to add to that confidence, a relaxed confidence. And that was a term that I was working with another colleague, and we did a double piano show all around the country, huge show. And he would always say, relaxed confidence. And just to relax in that, it doesn't have to be something put on, just to relax in it. Well, this has been an absolute joy. How can people contact you further? Why don't you give them that? But those will be in the show notes, and they'll actually be in the article. So I want to make sure everybody gets that. So how can they contact you?
Thank you. The best way is through my website, Rochelle Rice, my full name, rochellerice.com. And in there is a contact form that you can reach out and get me directly.
Oh, that's wonderful. I wish I could just do Deborah Johnson, but there's like millions of Deborah Johnsons in the world. So I have other websites. Deborah Johnson speaker I have, but there's other websites that I have. Goals for Your Life is my main. And then, of course, the music. So anyway, thank you so very much for being here and giving a wonderful, wonderful interview. I hope people have walked away just with all of these nuggets that they can apply right now. And again, review the article, because I will put a couple of those nuggets in directly from you. But yeah, to owning our body, confidence, breathing, posture. I'm always thinking about posture, because it's easy. It's just all of a sudden you catch yourself, and to be able to have that nice, straight posture, it makes everything line up a lot better. So a lot better. So thank you all for being with us today. It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you again, Rochelle. I look forward to being with everybody again next time. So we'll talk to you then. Thanks so much. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.